Welcome to a spine-tingling episode that ventures into the shadowy realms of the unexplained and the supernatural. Today, we delve deep into the enigmatic world of paranormal investigations with a special guest, Joshua Chairs, the lead investigator of the renowned Phantom Detectives. In the heart of a land shrouded in mystery lies the Summer Winds Mansion, a place where the veil between worlds is whispered to be at its thinnest. Rebuilt, yet echoing with the secrets of its eerie past, this mansion stands as a testament to the otherworldly. Joshua Chairs takes us through the silent halls and dimly lit corridors of this infamous locale, unraveling tales that are bound to send shivers down your spine. But our journey doesn't stop at mere ghostly whispers. Prepare yourself as we confront the truly terrifying. Joshua shares his most harrowing encounters with demonic entities, experiences that challenge the boundaries of our understanding and flirt with the darkest corners of our psyche. And as we stand at the crossroads of fear and fascination, Joshua also sheds light on the meticulous techniques employed by the Phantom Detectives. Their methods are a blend of the scientific and the mystical, a toolkit designed to pierce the veil and seek truths hidden in the paranormal fog. So dim the lights, steady your nerves, and join us as we explore the unknown with a master of the ghostly realm. This is more than just a story, it's a journey into the heart of darkness itself, where reality is stranger than fiction and every shadow could hide a secret. End this evening not just with a tale, but with an experience that will haunt your thoughts and challenge your beliefs about the world beyond. This is the story of the Summer Winds Mansion, as told by Joshua Chairs of the Phantom Detectives. Do things seem off? Trouble sleeping? Issues in your marriage, finances, or with extended family and friends? These are challenges that many men face, but you don't have to face them alone. The Men of Steel Prayer Group is here for you. We are a fellowship of individuals who share a common interest in the paranormal and cryptid fields, united in our quest for understanding the supernatural. Our goal is to educate and guide those curious or seeking insight into the supernatural, emphasizing the role of Jesus Christ as the supreme authority over the supernatural realm. Visit us at strongmenpraying.com to learn more. The Men of Steel Prayer Group, where faith and curiosity forge a stronger spirit.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dog Waters, and I'm back with another phenomenal interview. Now, let me say this. The gentleman that I'm about to interview, I've known him for quite some time. I mean, he's been behind the scenes of the paranormal field for a long time. He worked as a producer for Dr. J. I think he still does work as a producer for Dr. J. Dr. J is my homie. He's cool as they come. And recently, over the past couple of years, I mean, he's spun off and done his own thing, and it's amazing. And so I'm excited to spend some time with him talking about paranormal investigations. And you guys know where I stand on investigations. There's people who say they're investigators, but they don't have any techniques. They don't have anything. They're just like, I went in the woods or I went into the field, and they don't have anything. But I know for a fact that Joshua and his team, that they understand what it means to investigate. And I know they go into some spooky, ooky places and they investigate. So we're getting ready to dive into the world of ghosts and paranormal investigations. And I think this is going to be awesome. Without any further ado, I'll bring Joshua Chairs into you guys, and we're going to chop it up. Joshua, what's up, baby? How you been?
Absolutely. I am wonderful, Mr. Waters. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this. And I was just telling people, you know, you've been around for a long, long time in this game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you've been around and like behind the scenes, you know, in the networking aspect, knowing everybody, doing interviews, helping people get into interviews. I mean, you've been here for a minute, man.
Oh, absolutely. I've been doing this for probably since booking the guests and helping, doing like different pitches, organizing, scheduling, sound checks, writing the questions, all that for about since 2015. So now I decided to spin off and build my own organization from the ground up. So I'm very excited, especially for answering any questions that come in from your end and from your listeners' end.
Awesome, man. Well, again, let's start by saying we're just about to have a conversation like two guys chopping it up. What I love to do is to go back to people's beginnings.
Yes.
when did you really first find the interest in this field? Was it as a kid? Was it due to family experiences? Was it due to childhood experiences? How did you find yourself taking interest to this field?
Yeah, I took interest in this field back in the 1980s, of course, watching In Search of by Leonard Nimoy, which was like one of the best shows of the paranormal back in the 80s. And then, of course, watching Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack, was on, on many of the NBC and stuff like that at night. And there was this one episode on there called The Haunting of the General Wayne Inn in Marion Station, Pennsylvania. And there, this is this old English coaching inn that dates back to 1705. It's called the Inn of the 17 Ghosts. Many Revolutionary War figures like George Washington, Marquis de Lafayette, Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote several stanzas of The Raven here, as well as other famous dignitaries used to stop by this old stagecoach inn. And of course, it was renamed to the General Wayne Inn in 1792. And this episode that really captivated me was on Unsolved Mysteries back in 1988. And I remember watching it, and there's all kinds of claims of paranormal activity associated with this old inn. The first, of course, is their supposed patrons would be at the bar, and that a lot of the ladies that would be sitting at the bar in the General Wayne Inn at the night would actually start basically having like unseen fingers actually like touch their shoulders, and they would say, "Hey, they would go to their husband and say, "Hey, was that you touching me?" So a lot of them would feel like touched in the barroom area, and then of course a lot of the patrons would be at the bar area watching the television. Supposedly, when the Unsolved Mysteries General Wayne episode went on, the TV reported going clockwise and counterclockwise, and of course a tenant had went out to outside the General Wayne Inn one night in a parking lot, and supposedly his car was completely locked. And of course, there was also a lot of there was lights on, it was completely turned on by itself, and no one was out there. And a lot of people also report seeing Hessian soldiers from the American Revolution inside this mansion. They.
Uh-oh.
So, Mr. Waters?
Yeah, I'm there. Go ahead. Keep going. It's for some reason
Sure.
it messed up on us. Go ahead. It's almost like something pressed the button while you were talking, bro. There you go. Unmute yourself. For some reason, it's got you muted.
Is that better, Mr. Waters? Okay.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. All right. So you were talking about the Civil War soldiers.
Yeah, Revolutionary War series.
Revolutionary War.
Yep, it was basically these Hessian soldiers that were seen in this old inn that dates back to 1705. So basically, a lot of people reported seeing this Hessian soldier in the basement area, and of course, on standing on the steps. So what's amazing was years later. Of course, as I watched that episode, I started reading every book by Dr. Hans Holzer. Of course, Dr. Holzer was pretty much one of the first true ghost hunters in America.
Right.
He started all of the early investigations with his trans medium Sybil Leek and Ethel Myers, and studying a lot of his cases, and of course reading books by Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren and some of the things that they were involved in doing. That was pretty amazing. And of course, one night along the dot, I remember hearing this radio person. I said, "This is Dreamland with Art Bell," and hearing Linda Moulton Howe talk about crop circles and cattle mutilations, and I was immediately hooked. Hearing about Art's show and hearing how he interviewed all his different guests, and so I got hooked on Art Bell around 94, 95, and then of course, much like any kid, I started wanting to do more than the investigation part. So I started researching, of course, UFOs and all sorts of flying anomalies, and understanding different cigar shapes and hearing about those. And I think especially when 2002 hit, I actually had the opportunity to investigate the General Wayne Inn with my late mentor, Michael Lee Mayer. She has since passed away, but she had a local Philadelphia team in 2002 at this old inn. So when we went to go down the basement area, I started taking pictures of different parts of the place. And in the basement area, that's where the Hessian soldiers been sighted. And in one of my digital camera pictures, I picked up green and yellow streaks of light. I have no reasonable explanation why that happened. And then, when we took it to later on, I took it to Kodak and other film companies and tried to have it developed. And they had no reasonable explanation why these streaks of light were in the image. And what's amazing is back then, of course, ghost hunting equipment wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. You might have had an EMF meter, a Geiger counter, and maybe you might have had, a voice recorder and maybe dowsing rods at the most. I mean, it was very, very basic, and then of course, 2004, I go to Westchester University and start doing my studies in business administration. And, in terms of that, like, that was pretty awesome. I got my bachelor's degree in 2008. And around that time, all the ghost hunting shows started coming on television. Ghost Hunters came in 2004. The Plumbers from Rotor Rooter.
Right.
Ghost Paranormal State with Ryan Buell. I know I got one of Ryan Buell's former team members working with me now on basically Holly Fosh, who heads our occult symbols department, our in spiritual beliefs department. And of course, we also Ghost Adventures started coming out with Zach Baggins. So all these shows immediately started hooking to me. I love how they would basically go interview clients at locations and on the phone, and then set up equipment in different parts of the haunted location, and then review the evidence, and then try to come to a conclusion based upon the information, and look up the historical records. So these television shows really fascinating me. But and then of course 2014 rolled around, and then I watched this episode called The Haunting of the Summerwind Mansion. The Summerwind Mansion, of course, is a ruined mansion on the shores of West Bay Lake, Wisconsin. It was built in 1914 by a guy named John Frank, who lived in Akron, Ohio. And of course, Mr. Frank, of course, built it as a fishing lodge. You could stay there for $4.99 a night in this lodge. And what was amazing about this lodge is that it has supposedly lots of paranormal history associated with it. It has Indian burial mounds on it. And according to the legend of the mansion, Mr. Frank went ahead and sold the mansion to a guy named Robert Patterson Lamont in 1916. And Mr. Lamont, of course, was a future U.S. Secretary of Commerce under President Herbert Hoover. So he's one of Herbert Hoover's cabinet members. So he reconverted this fishing lodge into a mansion. It took about 2 years for the renovations. And after it was complete, the servants started going into the mansion saying, "Hey, this house is haunted. There's a floating lady in the kitchen. We're hearing noises and loud footsteps upstairs." And of course, Mr. Lamont's like, grow up. There's no such thing as ghosts." Until he himself had his own paranormal encounter. And what was amazing, here's an old story that dates back to 1935 at Summerwind. According to the story, Mr. Lamont and his wife were eating dessert one night in the kitchen area. And of course, the basement door flew open like this, revealing the ghostly form of a man. And according to the legend of Summerwind, Mr. Lamont fired pow pow 2 shots at the door, thus missing the ghost, and never returned to the mansion. And then of course
Wow.
in 1948, Mr. Lamont unfortunately passed away, and the property went to a lady named Lillian Kiefer. So Miss Kiefer purchased the property in 1948, and then over 20 years, she would lease it out to people. They would give it back to her. And it wasn't until the Hinshaw family moved in. And the haunting episode is a haunting season 1, episode 2, The Haunting of Summerwind, is available on Discovery Plus. You can watch it still. It was aired in 2005. When the Hinshaw family moved into Summerwind, they thought this would be a great fixer-upper. It had great potential. They thought that this would be the perfect family home for them, because Mr. Hinshaw had three kids of his own, and of course Miss Hinshaw had 3 kids of her own. So it's kind of like the Brady Bunch, bringing two families together as one in one roof. And then of course when the Hinshaws first moved in, they had all kinds of strange things started happening to them. They actually had a window fly open basically on its own. They had to nail the windows shut. They started seeing floating, basically like floating figures. They started hearing footsteps. They started hearing loud bangs. And of course, workers would try also when they tried to work on doing renovations to the mansion, which was amazing, was these renovations, actually they would have their tools in different parts of the house working on, renovating the place. And then of course, when they would renovate the place, they would actually, stuff would break down, like tools, appliances would break down, would work again, but then the tools would disappear. So what happened was, as things started escalating at Summerwind, and of course, Mr. Lamont actually, supposedly his car caught on fire when he was trying to go to a construction site for a job. And then what happened was, there was this crawl space. Supposedly, Mr. Hinshaw was in this in the house, basically in the guest room, and in one of the guest rooms there was this crawl space. So he sent his 12-year-old daughter April, who I've talked to numerous times. I'm a Hinshaw family friend. And supposedly this 10-year-old girl actually crawled in this crawl space, and then she saw a skeleton with black hair. And then when she went there, so she crawled back to tell her stepdad. And then, of course, after the skeleton was found in 1970, 71, they family tried calling the police, and the police came and couldn't find the skeleton in the crawl space again. So this is when yes, there's a skeleton found in the Summerwind mansion, supposedly by the family, but it was never been documented by
But the
any other.
police never found it.
Yep,
I'm gonna stop you
never.
right here. Let me ask you this question: This Summerwind, is this the same place you were telling me about that you guys are trying to renovate, or is this another
Yep.
place?
This is the
So
same
you guys
place.
are
Yep.
you guys are trying to have you guys bought it already?
Not
Are
yet.
you just
No. Just trying to talk about rebuilding it. And so here's what happens with the
whoa?
story. Here's where the paranormal activity really picks up. So according to the Summerwind story, now this is where Mr. Lamont, of course, had supposedly went mad. He played the organ to all hours of the night, saying the ghost had claimed that he wanted him to play this organ. And then, of course, the family was so terrified hearing this music go all night, they actually had to stay in one of the living rooms in the house. So they also had to stay in one room. They were terrified. And then, of course, Ginger, according to the book, A Carver Effect, it's a paranormal experience. You can still find it on eBay and Amazon for like $300 to $500. It's very rare and it's very expensive. But the book supposedly covers how Miss Hinshaw supposedly tried committing suicide. And of course, what happened was the family abandoned Summerwind around 71, 72, and it went back to Miss Kiefer again. And then all of a sudden, this Raymond Von Bober, a popcorn vendor from Chicago. So this guy named Raymond Von Bober, who is Ginger's father, said, hey, me and my son Ray need to fix her upper. We want to try making a go of this place again. So they went ahead and said, hey, why don't we go ahead and purchase this, property and, lease it out from the Kiefers. So they, of course, never lived on the property of Summerwind. They had a trailer on the property, and that's where they stayed to do most of the renovation work. And they thought it was a great fixer-upper, just like the Hinshaws did. And the Von Bobers ran into similar problems, appliances breaking down. And of course, according to the legend, they would measure the original blueprints. I actually have the original blueprints to Summerwind in my closet. And, they're still,
Can you get them? Can you get them? Can you grab them? Show them to me real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hold
grab
on a
them?
second?
Let me see. Yeah, let me see
Sure.
this. This is crazy, bro. This is insane. I got to see this.
Yes, definitely.
I want to see the original blueprints. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you like this. There's an episode of Suspense, the old radio show, that's actually based on this story. This is why I'm freaking out, because I listen to Suspense when I'm on road trips, and they actually called it the Summer Wind, and I didn't know that it was based on a true story. It's freaking crazy that it's based on a true story. It's insane, but I got to see these blueprints. I'm sorry, guys. And when I tell you, Joshua is an encyclopedia when it comes to like the paranormal and ghosts. Like, he's a freaking walking encyclopedia. I mean, he really is. Every time I ever talk to him, the conversations go from 0 to 100, and then boom, he's telling you some stuff that you just don't know, or at least I don't know. Some of you guys may know this stuff. I don't know it. All right, I got to see this.
Look
at
one of the original copies. You can see it's quite a big place.
That's massive. Let me see if I can make you big. How do I do that? How do I make you big? That's not working. All right, that's a big old building, bro.
Absolutely. That's just one floor. And I think there's some more. I'll show you a couple more pages here of the original blueprints. Which is really amazing is there's not anybody in the world that has these blueprints. So I'll show you another page of the prints. And here is here's another house on the property, the guest house. You can see this is just another house. There was like 3 or 4 buildings on top of the original mansion right there. I'm going to show you guys just a few more. And what's really amazing about this place, you can just see, here's the outside of the house. This is the arches and all that. Zoomed in like right
I got
there.
it. We got it.
Cool. Awesome. So these blueprints are very rare, and which is amazing was when the Von Popers had it, they of course tried to make a go of it. They tried everything they could to restore it, but of course they would. Here's a really strange stuff I got from Raymond Von Bober, who I bought the blueprints from. So Mr. Von Bober, of course, he actually when he tried going upstairs, he started seeing visions of the flashback, and of course, when he went downstairs, he saw the bullet holes which still remained in the basement door at Summerwind. And of course, 1979, the Von Bobers gave it to Miss Kiefer, and of course Miss Kiefer's like, okay, basically that's the next family that had it. And unfortunately, according to the book, The Carver Effect, there was this 19th century or 18th century English explorer by the name of Jonathan Carver, who was born in Weymouth, Massachusetts. And Jonathan Carver, of course, supposedly it was alleged that he was haunting the property looking for this deed, this land grant for the northern third of Wisconsin, which his family and his heirs would have actually had. But unfortunately, that was never proven. So after the property was Miss Kiefer died in around 1985, it went to a couple named Harold and Babs Tracy up in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And of course, Harold and Babs actually, bought Summerwind, and Mr. Tracy bought it as a wedding anniversary present to Miss Tracy. So they thought, hey, why don't we go ahead and why don't we try to turn this into a bed and breakfast and make it into something awesome? And of course, they ran into similar problems. And unfortunately, on Father's Day of 1988, after they bought the place, 2 years after that, when they tried to start doing renovations, the property was supposedly lightning and fire took it down. Now, which is weird because my friend Craig Naring, who knows the owners of the property, Harold and Babs, who are trying to sell it now, according to the supposedly Craig, he talked to a neighbor next door that lived at Summerwind, and according to the actually a neighbor, supposedly the town was tired of all people trespassing and vandalizing on the property, so they went ahead and supposedly burnt it down around 1988. So the township itself was behind the actual fire and the lightning at Summerwind. So all that remains today, unfortunately, are the two tall chimneys, the foundation, and the steps of Summerwind. But the beautiful thing is, 2014 rolls around, 26 years later. I watched the episode and I reach out to Raymond Von Bober Jr., who was Ginger Hinshaw's brother, and I make an offer of the blueprints. I buy the blueprints, and then I try to start looking for a connection to the owners of the property. And I came across this news feed of Summerwind, and I came across Craig Naring from the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters, who's been on television himself, pretty syndicated guy. And of course, Craig knew the owners. He's like, hey, I know the owners. Call me. So then together we came together and created the Summerwind Restoration Society around 2014, and the idea was to restore, rebuild, and relaunch Summerwind as a bed and breakfast. And of course, with the original blueprints, we're hoping to eventually restore the mansion. And the idea is, imagine turning this into the Zach Baggins of the haunted Midwest, basically the haunted museum of the Midwest, where people can come investigate and also enjoy themselves and enjoy the museum. So hopefully someday that project comes to fruition. So that was one of my favorite stories. So the Summerwind Mansion is pretty amazing. It's known as Wisconsin's most notorious haunted house.
Let me ask you this question. So how's the financing going for that? Have you guys partnered with any grants? Because there should be all kind of grants out there for you guys to get the financing to do this, to bring it to fruition. Because it's a historical home. There should be all kind of grants.
Absolutely. And I'm going to talk to Craig about that, because Craig now is basically heading up the project. He does all the investigations on the property. And mind you, the ruins is still haunted even to this day. His team has been out there many times investigating it. They've had rock throwing incidents where rocks would fly out of the foundation. They would take one of their team members and put them in isolation. And of course, would get EVP saying, hey, this young girl with one of the female investigators would say, hey, why is this raccoon on my lap? And all of a sudden the EVP would play back saying I pushed it. So I think overall, like, we've had estimates done and contractors done on the original blueprints. And we've looked at just rebuilding the main mansion, not the servant's house, not the guest house, not any of the other exterior buildings, just the main mansion. And supposedly, I was told the rebuild is between $500,000 and $600,000. But like you said, if you have grants and stuff, and you can go mention, because since it's a historical home, there might be an investor out there that might see the potential in doing a rebuild of the original mansion right on the property of the original, right where it is. And we find the right, land grant people. Maybe Craig and me could call the different bureaus in Wisconsin and see if any of them are willing to give us some grants or charters or any kind of licensing that we would need to find investors.
Yeah, you need that, or you're going to need an angel investor. I'll tell you from my experience, it used to be angelinvestor.com. It may still be there, but just a piece of advice. Just look up angel investors, and then you guys will need to put together a proposal as to how you're going to finance the repayment. It's called debt service, how you're going to service the debt. And it sounds to me like you should be able to do this project because it's $6,000 per million. Yeah. In this environment. So you're probably talking about $4,000 a month. As long as you guys can generate some income, which I think you should. I mean, you
Yeah,
really should be able to generate a lot of income. You guys be able to pull that off, man. You really should be able to pull it off.
absolutely. Because imagine like the idea of creating like a air bed and breakfast or some kind of like mansion or museum basically, like where people can we could do tours and investigations and stuff like that. I think it has great potential. And factor in basically, it was also in the 1980 Time Life magazine is one of America's most haunted houses, with the one with Walter Cronkite in the on the cover. I think it was November 1980. So this place has a lot of history to it. It's got so much stuff. And I think that with the right investors, like angel investors, we could definitely make it happen. And we could probably regenerate the income from all the people staying at the bed and breakfast and stuff like that.
I think so too. Let me ask you this about the land itself. When you guys did the research, what's the deal with the land? Because it's can't just be the structure, because the structure got destroyed and you still
Right.
have activity, right? So what the hell is going
Yes.
on with the land?
So basically,
What's
the
the
land
history of it?
itself, of course, like what we feel like a lot of the alleged activity at Summerwind is a lot of it is because supposedly, Craig told me there's a lot of Indian burial mounds there. So Summerwind supposedly was built on a lot of Indian burial mounds. So there's a lot of reports of people hearing and seeing like chants and different ghostly Native American apparitions. So we definitely feel the most of the activity with associated with Summerwind is pretty much from like the land itself, with all the Indian tribes basically fighting each other. And of course Jonathan Carver, who was an 18th century explorer, was supposedly trying to keep peace between the Indian tribes in the 18th century, according to the Carver effect. So I think a lot of the land is associated with the Native Americans and all that.
How's the terrain? Is it near any waterways? What is it close to? Is it what type of rock is it? The foundation? I mean, what type of rock is under the ground? Have you guys done
Yeah,
all that research?
so it's actually like it's pretty much right on the upper UP of Wisconsin. I think it's like literally along the Michigan Wisconsin UP border, and I believe it's right pretty much right near the shores of West Bay Lake, which is like right up there in like northern Wisconsin, the northern third. So I think it's like the
Right.
northeastern part, and there's a huge like fishing community in there as well. And so there's a lot of potential to rebuild this, and we have a lot of support from a lot of people. And for the best way for any of your listeners that want to get involved with the project is to go to Facebook. And Craig, of course, heads the project up now. Craig Naring from the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters. And you can just type in Summerwind, haunted Summerwind Mansion, like haunted and all one word, Summerwind Mansion on Facebook. And there should be a group you can join. And that's how people can start getting involved in the rebuilding project.
No, man, that's awesome, bro. I think it's awesome, but it's scary at the same time, because it's like, to me, it's like, all right, we put money into building this thing, and nobody who's ever lived there successfully been able to live there. It's always went bad. So it's like,
Yeah.
man, you bring it back to life and then it goes bad again. It's insane. Do you know anything about the original transaction to acquire the land, or how it came into the original family's ownership? Was it violence that took place when that happened? Was it taken from somebody? Did they legally buy it? What happened? Do you guys have any clue?
Yeah, I think when Mr. Frank Ball did, like he wanted to, because he basically was like an industrial kind of guy. Like, this was during the Industrial Revolution, like around late 1800s, early 1900s. So he basically wanted to move to Wisconsin because he was doing a lot of carpentry and a lot of like, maintenance and stuff like that. So he wanted to be able to build like a small fishing lodge there where people can go and stay. And he wanted to build his own like business there. But unfortunately, 2 years later, he decided to abandon efforts. And he was very interested in like industrial, like engineering and stuff like that. So that's why he was very interested in like trying to get like as much like business up in Wisconsin, because there was more opportunity for him there than in Akron, Ohio. So he was very influential figure in the Akron, Ohio area.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes all the sense in the world. Man, that's a wild project. All right, let's spin to some of the investigations you've been on. All right, so
Sure,
we're gonna ask you a few questions. All right,
sure.
let's start here. What do you say has been the worst location that you and your crew has went to investigate, and what happened at the absolute worst location?
Sure. So I'm going to say the worst location, of course, we had our first demonic investigation in November 2022. This client, DH, had reached out to our case manager, Melissa Ferrazzano. And of course, Melissa, supposedly this family was so terrified where they were supposedly, they had reported seeing like dark shadows, and, they started hearing a sinister laugh in this basement area. So we went ahead and, took on this investigation to help this family. That's what we do as investigators. We help families in homes and businesses all over the country. So we wanted to reach out to this family. We booked the investigation. Then, of course, Mr. Rick Warner, who's not here today, who was our lead investigator, director of client relations, and case manager or tech manager, he went ahead and did the interview with the client. So then we booked the investigation, and we had a lot of things happen that night. Of course, we would go down and we have numerous EMF spikes on our EMF meters. We had a lot. We actually picked up several EVPs where we got cursed at in the basement area. We got one that says "F you." That was completely terrifying. And then, of course, we got this other one, like this really evil laugh saying, "I want you to go." Like, you can hear it on our website, phantomdetectives.org, in the basement area. And then, of course, when we would use the SLS camera, and the SLS stands for structured light sensor. What it does is it picks up stick figures. It draws them like a stick figure, like of a person, and then it maps it on the wall. We started picking up these black oil spills on the SLS camera. I've never seen anything like it before. Yes, black oil spills that were forming people on the SLS camera. And this is the digital dowsing SLS camera. I've never seen anything like that. And mind you, the SLS camera, you just have to be very careful when you hold it, because when you move it side to side, it can pick up, if you have a water bottle or a chandelier hanging off a wall, it could easily pick that up. So what we did, we just usually aimed against solid walls. And when we went to the basement aiming this thing on solid walls, we actually picked up like the really black, the thing was completely changing shape. It was absolutely terrifying. And then we took our thermal imaging camera, which is, they pick up hot and cold signatures, the thermal imaging camera, and we pointed and clicked it, or a REM pop was going off in this corner, and we picked up this full body apparition. And mind you, that it was a cold signature. It wasn't a heat signature. If it was a living person like me or you on a thermal imaging camera, signature. Yep, it would come up as a red or orange. But mind you, this was a cold signature, and there was no reflective surfaces. I went and caught this image basically using a FLIR, which is one of the thermal imaging cameras that is really good quality. FLIR makes the best thermal cameras. And in this corner of this room, I picked up this apparition. You can see it standing in the corner, and that was right in the area where REM pod and EMF meters were spiking like crazy. And what was scary was that night, Rick, actually, our team member Rick, I remember being there with him that night. He was sitting in the chair just taking a break. All of a sudden, his eyes closed, and he started, you could feel something literally pressing on his chest. And what's terrifying was, we have one of those 8+1 EMF meters. It goes up to 2,000 milligauss. A milligauss, of course, is the standard unit of measurement with EMF meters. This thing started spiking all the way up from literally green to red. So it was completely terrifying. I have no reasonable explanation why that happened. So the good news is that we were able to help the family, help DH's family. We blessed every single room. We went ahead and used sage. We burnt that, and we used special holy oil from Jerusalem, which we have on our team, and we blessed every single. We marked it with a cross in every door space. And after we did the cleansing, the house felt different. It felt more vibrant. It felt more lively. The family come in and immediately noticed the difference, and they haven't had any single paranormal activity at all since that investigation.
Yeah, so basically, y'all went about consecrating the house and closing it off. Exactly. It sounds to me like, man, what you saw on that wall was the portal that this thing was coming in and out of. That's what it sounded like to me.
It was terrifying. And mind you, the really great thing is every single investigation that we do, we always pick up at least 3 or 4 pieces of evidence every time, because I think it's the way that we're always very kind. We treat the spirits like this is their home. This is their place. Thank you for letting us come into our home, allowing us to investigate. So when you treat them with kindness, you're going to get a lot of good results. And almost every time we come up with these 2 or 3 pieces, because we're very humble, we're very client-centered. We want to do the absolute best for every client and give it our all. And one thing I love about doing investigations is helping people and helping families. That's what the mission of Phantom Detectives has been since its inception, making sure that every family, making sure that they can sleep comfortable at night and not have to worry about any kind of footsteps or unseen anomalies on their in their home or business. So we do a great job, and we're always working to get better. And we've come up with our own investigation techniques too.
Let me ask you this question: have you met Zach before? Zach Bagans, you've met him before, right? Or do you know him?
I have not yet, but I will say I have met Jeff Bellinger, who is a longtime, really good friend of mine. You know, of course, Jeff, of course, was the writer and researcher for Ghost Adventures. He's been there since
Right.
2008. He kind of creates all the haunted locations. He helps write the show. I've met Bellinger before. I've met Nick Groff before too. Nick was, of course,
Yeah,
on
Nick is
Ghost
cool,
Adventures.
bro. Nick is really
He's
cool. I love Nick.
he's the nicest guy. And what's even funnier is him and my best friends, you know, Katrina Wyman did a show called Paranormal Lockdown for a while. And which is wild was Katrina, of course, went to school with my best friend Gwen. And of course, Katrina was on Paranormal State with Ryan Buell back from 07 to 2011. So overall, it was pretty amazing to see the journey we've been on. And we're only going to get better and better, you know, with every single investigation. And we've also created some really cool techniques that no other team uses that we've improved upon. And I'd love to talk about those investigation techniques too.
I want to ask you one question. So what about, I know that with Zach, and this is to be clear, Zach, I ain't talking crazy about you. I know that Zach likes to antagonize the spirits. You guys don't go about antagonizing them at all, right? You don't challenge them, do you?
Because I think that when you basically do that approach, I've seen like you did it to him, now do it to me. I think a lot of that is the entertainment value of ghost hunting shows, because Zach and Aaron and Nick and all them who were on the show, they were doing that to try to drive the ratings and create a rating spike for their televisions to get more viewers, basically. I think that was more of the entertainment value of it. But I think overall, like that is kind of sending the wrong message in the paranormal community of provoking or antagonizing spirits, because you don't want that, because then what if it attaches itself to you, it tries to scratch you or attack you, or I mean, it can be very dangerous to go in that aspect of doing things, you know, or like, you know, daring a spirit to try challenging their authority. I mean, you're going to get things that are that you don't want. And especially, I highly recommend nobody gets involved in Ouija boards or any kind of seances or any kind of messing with the occult, because it could be a very dangerous situation. And I feel that Zach is, you know, he used his original vision of how he did Ghost Adventures, and compared to where he is now, he's just a completely different person. And we try to use holy light because we're all born again Christians. We all serve the Lord, and we want to help investigate our clients in homes and businesses. So I feel that Zach Bagan's approach is not the right approach. The right way is to say please and thank you. Thank you for allowing us to come into your home. Thank you for letting us, you know, we appreciate anything that you can give us. So when you treat the spirits kindly, you're going to get rewarded with some amazing evidence. And also you're going to be able to help them, you know, if they need to eventually cross over. So I think the being kind and, you know, being cool and collected and not being scared, it's the best way you can do it.
No, I agree with you, man. I've had a lot of encounters with spirits based on the conversations that I've spoken with people, like helping people and discussing their stories, and just across the board, bro. It's been wild for me. And I found that even sometimes when you antagonize a person, because a part of my process is to antagonize a person a bit to get to the truth of what they're saying. When their spirits attached to that person, that antagonizing of the individual provokes those spirits and they get pissed. That's how I learned that, you know, you have to use the name of Jesus Christ to get rid of them. I'd be like, look, you over here, man, trying to manifest in my house. Look, I rebuke in the name of Jesus Christ. You have to go. And if you don't go, these angels about to escort you up out of here. And I won't have any problems. But I've always found that interesting. There is this division between the entertainment aspect of what's going on, because there's entertainment, and then the reality. And I always felt like people push that entertainment boundary and get themselves in trouble, bro. It's dangerous when you push it like that, you know?
Absolutely. And I feel that Zach, like, you know, he's more of the entertainment kind of investigator. He wants to be able to, like, I think, like, you know, half of the ghost hunting shows on TV today are half of everything is real, but also half of it is also entertainment, meaning like they're trying to, you know, get rating spikes to deliver. But the one thing is, we're the real deal. We go in with respect, and we get, you know, great results because we have, you know, investigation techniques that no other team has done. And they're so revolutionary because we've improved the Estes method, which is the standard method used by many para-investigation shows like Kindred Spirits with Amy Bruni, Adam Berry. We created our own uniform version called the Chairs Warner method. So the Chairs Warner method is where we take our psychic medium, Melissa, who's been taught by Cindy Kaza from the Holzer Files. Cindy is a great mentor to Melissa. She's been, of course, Cindy was a student of James von Prague, a famous medium. So what we do is we wire Melissa up. We put headphones on her. We put these really cool like Gansfield orange goggles on her too, and then we scan the ghost box, the AM FM stations on the ghost box, and then what we do is we use an EMF meter and a voice recorder. So we call that the Chairs Warner method, part one. And then what's really neat is we use the PSB7 Pro, which is a brand new ghost box from Gary Galka. It has temperature. You scan the AM FM stations. Melissa, her psychic abilities go up through the roof when she's like blindfolded and is scanning AMF stations. I mean, she picks up on history like of every location almost like amazingly. And when you guys talk to her very soon in the near future, basically you'll see like how she approaches investigation. So that's part one. And then part two, what we do is we remove the blindfold and then we give her a scrying mirror. Of course, scrying, which is like where a medium can use to shape different, feelings and different experiences in a mirror. We have her look into a scrying mirror, and then we just have her scan the ghost box again, and then we add in like a power plant from Relatively Paranormal, which uses like crystal energy. So we have her hold a crystal, and it starts channeling like crazy. She starts picking up on different kinds of spirits like you wouldn't believe. I mean, she's really amazing at what she does, and she picks up on literally numerous spirits every time, and she delivers those messages. She's very gifted, and mind you, our Ovulus, we use the Ovulus 6 and Ovulus 5. The Ovulus words match her readings, so that's pretty awesome. When you can take a piece of
Wait, what's an
equipment.
ovulus? I'm not familiar with ovulus. What's an ovulus?
So an Ovulus is basically it's like a dictionary. You can scan it. It has like different words. What it does, you flip it on, and it has like different words and responses. I can go grab mine real quick and see if I can find it for you real quick, if you would like, or if
No,
not,
don't worry about it. Just explain it to me. I just want to
yeah,
understand what the terminology
yeah.
means.
So what it is, it uses the EMF fields to generate words and responses. It was developed by Bill Chappell on Ghost Adventures, and the idea is it's basically scanning the EMF fields to generate words. It shows up on dictionary mode, so some of the words always pop up on dictionary mode, match Melissa's feelings and readings.
So it's basically reading the EMF field and popping
Yep.
up words based on what's in the EMF field.
Yep, exactly.
That's wild. That's wild. And I've had this theory. I've had this theory as it pertains to monsters and cryptids that the changes of the EMF field that eyewitnesses encounter have a lot to do with why they feel like something's talking to them in their mind. I feel
Yes.
we as human beings, we're all psychic to a certain extent. That's how we were made.
Right.
And, yeah, we have intuitive senses. So what ends up happening is you're reading what's being in that field, and you're reading, okay, I feel danger, or I feel like something wants to hurt or harm me. It's no different than when you're sitting in a car and somebody's looking at you, and you're not looking. You can look over and look at them. You can damn near tell what they're thinking when you first look at them. I think all humans are built that way. I think that's how we were created.
I think so too, because we all experience things. We all have like the sixth sense, and I believe all of us have some level of psychic development. Of course, there's also the three clairs, which are clairvoyant, which is someone that can see the dead. There's clairaudient, which someone can hear the dead. And there's of course clairsentient, which is sensing the dead. So I believe we all have some extent to see, be able to pick up on spirits. It depends on if we choose to develop those gifts. And which is really great. Ours is Melissa's mentor, Cindy Kaza, actually teaches, entry-level classes in mediumship on Zoom. And of course, she does all the way up to advanced mediumship. So, she's fantastic. You can purchase her classes right off her Facebook page by looking up Cindy Kaza. And, mind you, she teaches all levels all the way. She teaches about auras and, automatic writing. She also teaches channeling techniques. I mean, great mentor. So it's really neat to know that there's people out there that that can help people that are intuitives or empaths that develop those abilities.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I've dealt with people in my personal life who've unlocked those abilities by mistake, and they would literally hear spirits, and they would tell you, "Hey, man, A, B, C, D, E, G, F, G is going on." You're like, bro, get the hell out of here. No, I'm telling you, the next day those things would happen. But it corrupted that individual, horrifically corrupted him, because he just couldn't balance it off. It's a very difficult thing for a person like that to deal with. All right, so we talked about the investigation methods. We talked about your project. Let's circle back and let's talk about the blog a little bit. I remember when you called me and you was like, "Hey, DW, we're getting ready to, we've got Dark Matters news, and we're building it out." I remember when you said that, and time passed. And the next thing I know, I look at it and it's completely blown up. I mean, you guys did a phenomenal job building it out. Talk to me a little bit about how and why you decided that you were going to do that.
So what happened was after literally, of course, this is before Melissa joined. After Rick joined our organization, of course, we have our team member Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer. He joined us in January 21. Rick joined us in March 21, and of course, Melissa joined June 21. Leo Ashcraft all of a sudden called me one day. Of course, Leo Ashcraft worked for Art Bell on Midnight in the Desert. He was his newsreader and affiliate director in 2015. So Art hired him because Leo actually had connections in the mutual news. He did a lot of the local, he ran 30 or 40 news stations all over Texas and different parts of the South and Midwest. So Leo was like, hey, I don't want Dark Matter News anymore. This is a newscast I used with Art Bell in 2015. Would Phantom Detectives LLC be interested in purchasing Dark Matter News? I'll sell you the files, every newscast I did for Art. I'll give you the website, and I'll give you the name, the logos, the rights to everything. So we went ahead, instead of because this was about 3 years after Art passed away in 18. We went ahead and completely bulldozed the original site down and completely restored it. And mind you, when we did it, we wanted to be able to honor Art's legacy, but also, embracing its new, because basically it's from transferring from Leo to me. We wanted to revitalize it as like a website where all paranormal things, UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot. So I wanted to be able to honor Art Bell's memory in a way that we can give it a new leash on life. And we did a great job. We did a complete makeover of the Dark Matter News website, and I'm very proud of that website. To me, knowing that we can honor Art, and also everyone misses him on the air. And of course, Vincent and Kevin, who live near me, Art Bell's sons, are very supportive of the Dark Matter News website as well. And someday, I hope we can eventually buy the company, Dark Matter Digital Network. That would be a dream come true. The problem is that Keith sold the network. Keith Rowland, who was Art Bell's longtime business person and webmaster, he sold it to a guy named Mike Marshallak, who was based out of Hoboken, New Jersey. And of course, there was supposedly an agreement that was made between David Rubini, who was one of Art's early producers on Midnight in the Desert, and of course, Mike Marshallak. And supposedly, Rubini was supposed to pay back $50,000 to Marshallak, and then him and Marshallak had a falling out. So Marshallak seized the company, and unfortunately, nothing's left of that actual network. But I'm hoping someday we can purchase it, and then we'll relaunch it as a paranormal news or a paranormal network. And then maybe someday, if Heather ever comes back, she'll do it, or maybe we can get one of Art's sons to host Midnight in the Desert. That would be really cool. For now, we just have to remember Art through those old shows, and the Dark Matter News is a great tribute to him. And I feel very proud knowing that we can remember him and also continue the legacy of Dark Matter News through Phantom Detectives.
Man, I tell you, one of the highlights of my career in this field is when I had the opportunity to briefly talk to Art. That was, to even have the understanding that he knew who I was, and he was like, I really like what you're doing. You're a great storyteller, and you do it real good live. I'm like, bro, I've never been awestruck. I'm like, what the hell? I'm talking to Art. This is insane. Absolutely. Like, bro, I was like, holy crap. I was starstruck, bro.
And it's so funny because I like to talk about Kevin Yanaga. Because I'm really good friends with Vincent Pontius. Vincent was Art's first son. From his first, Art married a woman named Sajiko Taguchi back in 1965 to 68. And of course, Vince is his first son. He told me about this sixth son of Art's that no one had ever heard about. And then he told me, hey, I got another brother. I didn't realize, and I said, look up Kevin Yanaga, and I find out he's actually a sushi chef in Philadelphia. And mind you, Kevin looks exactly like a young Art, same shape face and everything, and he's got his own sushi business in Fishtown. So if you know anybody that has that loves fish, and sushi in Philadelphia, check out Art Bell's son's Amakaze by Yanaga business in Philadelphia. Kevin's a really great guy. Very talented chef, and of course Vincent has a love for the paranormal too, and I'll connect you with him pretty soon, Mr. Waters.
Yeah, that's got to be awesome, man. I love to talk to him. When I tell you, bro, that blew my mind. And when I tell you, I've done comic cons where I've met the guys from Supernatural. Nice. I've hung out with Dave Schrader at events and met people from Ghost Adventures, and I'm just like, yo, I'm talking to Art Bell. This is insane, bro. And I was dumbfounded.
That must have been like, holy heck, like I'm talking to the legend on the radio who had 15 to 20 million listeners. And let me say, a night on about 500 affiliate director stations. I don't know if there's even talk shows like with Dr. Phil might generate like 12 million a day, but Art had 18 to 20 million a night, which was unheard of at that time. And for you to talk to him, I think was an absolute awesome thing.
That bro, that was the highlight. And that still is the highlight. I'm still looking for something to outdo that. And there's never been anything that in my mind, I don't think there ever be anything that outdoes that for me. That was freaking amazing.
Absolutely.
We're running up on our time. We're about to run out of time. I want to touch on some more about the other affiliate websites that you guys have.
Sure.
Talk a little bit more about the other websites that you've rolled out. So we've got the Dark Matters net website. We've got Phantoms, the Phantoms website, but then there's more. There's affiliate websites for your other people on the team, right?
Yes, so I like to go through all the websites. The first one, if you have a UFO case you need investigated, you need something to research, any kind of flying analogy, Mr. Rick Warner is actually also the U.S. ambassador to the Italian UFO Federation. He'll go through his qualifications in a future show. He's been certified through MUFON, really great guy. If you want to reach his website, he's got his own UFO organization called Extraterrestrial Research Center. That website is ERC2explore.com. That's ERC, the number 2, explore.com. So ERC2explore.com is Rick Warner's UFO website. To reach Melissa, our psychic medium, our case manager, if you have investigations that you need done by the team, her website is psychicmediumautumn.com, all one word, psychicmediumautumn.com. You can see it right on the homepage of our website. It says under important websites. If you want to talk to Mark Anthony, he's a psychic lawyer. He's a 4th generation psychic medium, Oxford educated attorney. He's a world-renowned psychic lawyer, been on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, Gaia TV. Mark's website is all one word, afterlifefrequency.com. So that's afterlifefrequency.com. And then, of course, our team member Holly Falst. You can just type, Holly heads up our occult symbols and spiritual beliefs department. She's a research department with us. You can find her on Facebook just by typing in Holly Falst Psychic Medium. And then, of course, our Dark Matter News website is all one word, darkmatternews.com. That's all one word, darkmatternews.com. And, of course, our main website, all one word, phantomdetectives.org.
Gotcha, brother. Gotcha. Man, I really want to tell you, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Now, guys, ladies and gentlemen, next week, I'm bringing the whole team on. It's going to be a pretty big discussion. And we're going to be bouncing around, going back and forth, talking about, and I'm really interested in hearing their perspective as a team on the investigations that they've been involved in. And it's always awesome to hear one person's perspective about investigation while this other person was there experiencing something. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. But I definitely wanted to get Joshua on because, man, when I tell you he's a walking encyclopedia, he really, really is. Josh, I mean, I really appreciate it, bro. And I look forward to next Saturday, man. We're going to do it. And that one's going to be long. Y'all need to buckle up. We're going to be talking for a minute, bro. It's not going to be an hour. It's going to be a while.
As Art Bell and Heather would say, we're going to be taking a long stroll basically down the heart of paranormal investigating. We're going to hop on the train and we're just going to roll.
I'm going to roll, bro. That's what we're doing, man. That's what we're doing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only James Williams, Dog Waters. I'm out of here. Josh, tell everybody bye, and I'm going to hit in.
Bye-bye. Hello, and I hope to see you guys very soon.